Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are joined by Micaeh. She is the co-founder of Eagle Fire Enrichment, a leadership solutions company. The company's mission is to help leaders overcome both personal and professional challenges so that they can make a greater impact on those they serve. Today, Micaeh is going to be talking with us about the first building block of success, how a simple mindset shift can support your daily habits, routine, and overall success through COVID-19. Welcome, Micaeh.
Thank you so much, Jacob. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on here and just add value to those people that are watching this. I'm going to talk a little bit about mindset being just like that first building block and how that can really help us with our habits and routines, especially during this time. Everyone's kind of in a different, we don't even have a routine, in a different place. And so we're maybe thrown off of our regular habits and our regular routine. And so how, our mindset is really that first level and thing that we really need to look at before we can even get back into those habits, or maybe even create new habits and routines to help us kind of move forward with that. So mindset, I know you guys have maybe already seen some speakers talk about mindset already. I know that's a main topic, but mindset is basically an established set of attitudes. It's like how we think or what we believe about something. And so what a lot of people think is that if they're in a fixed mindset, is that you can't change. You can't change your mindset. This is just how things are. This is who I am, etc. So for example, someone with a fixed mindset might say, they may try a new habit and then realize, oh, I, came across an obstacle and I don't know how to overcome this, so I'm just going to throw in the towel. So that would be what someone with like a fixed mindset how they would probably respond to something. And then someone with a growth mindset, believes that they can grow and learn, develop new skills. They're open to feedback. They're open to changes and things like that. So what I'm going to kind of talk about is how to move from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset, but also how that affects those habits and routines, in detail. So for any obstacle that we face, so right now we're facing, an obstacle we've never faced before. This is all brand new to us. And so I think it's thrown off a lot of people, with what they are used to. And so, but any obstacle that we face, it's going to prepare us for future challenges or obstacles that we have to overcome. So it's important for anything, like going back to that mindset. So mindset being level one is that foundation. So after your mindset comes like your dreams and your goals, and then it becomes your habits and routines. So if you don't already have, a growth mindset, it's going to be really hard for you to even set goals and dreams or believe that you can actually achieve them. And then if you don't have those dreams or goals in place, then it's going to be hard to develop some habits and routines. That could be exercise, that could be a work goal or things like that. Does that kind of make sense? So mindset is kind of that number one. Like if you don't have that down, it's going to be really hard to work on those other things. So it's kind of like, are you familiar with like the habit loop?
I'm not actually.
Okay. So the habit loop is a lot of different people or experts in personal development have used the habit loop to kind of explain this. And they use different terms for it. So you have, for a habit, you have like your cue or your trigger that then leads into your routine or, your habit, and then it leads to your reward. So for example, if I'm driving down the street and I see Starbucks and I'm thirsty, like seeing Starbucks is my cue. And so like, I see my cue, I'm going to turn in and I'm going to go, get my coffee and have my reward, so to speak. But just in our daily, life things, you see a cookie on the counter and you're hungry, so you're going to eat it. So it's kind of these habits, these little cues that trigger us into moving forward into the habit. Or, or you see a commercial and you see a pizza on a commercial and you're like, oh man, I want a pizza now. So that would be like your cue. And so with mindset, like it actually like creates a loop between your mindset to your goals and then to your habits and routines. So like a force in motion stays in motion. So as we develop a habit and routine that that helps us achieve our goal, then it's going to improve our mindset. So once we start believing that we can achieve more, then we can get into even more of a growth mindset, if that makes sense. So we might believe okay, I believe that I can, exercise for 30 minutes a day, right? So then you have this goal of exercise 30 minutes in a day, and then you do it. So you build that habit and routine. Well, then once you do 30 minutes a day, okay, if I can do 30 minutes a day, I can do an hour a day. So you go back to that mindset. You're growing, you're believing that you can do more. You develop this goal of doing an hour a day, and then you develop the habit of hour a day. So it kind of creates this little like a loop. Um, but you're always starting with that mindset, because if you don't even believe that you can achieve it, then you're not going to be able to do that and develop those habits and everything. So with the situation we're facing right now, it can be really easy to think, oh, I'm just going to, not stick to my habits because of all this going on. I'm just going to get back to it when things are normal. Or you may be feeling like you want to throw in the towel and all these things, but right now really is the best time to, focus on developing that positive mindset, and then those habits and routines that can kind of move you forward, even after the crisis ends, and to kind of overcome that. So with the mindset, kind of how to like hone in on that and improve that is to really just be aware of your mindset. So do you have a fixed mindset, or are you in a growth mindset? Mindset is really kind of like a habit in and of itself. It's what we believe, the thoughts that we have, and we can get into a habit of a negative mindset or negative thoughts. So the way to change that is to really just pay attention and be aware of your mindset. So as you're going throughout the day, maybe take like keep a journal with you, or keep like notes in your iPhone or something. And when you have a negative thought that comes to you, just write it down, and then maybe think about, okay, why am I thinking that? Is it because I don't believe, that things can be better, or that I can do this? Is there something I experienced in my past that maybe is keeping me, that made me believe that, so to speak? And so that can just help with that awareness, because you can't change things if you don't know it's there. So pay attention, be aware. And then once you recognize it, it's kind of like recognizing that trigger or that cue, then you can kind of start to change it. So what I do when I recognize a negative thought or mindset is I'll write down the exact opposite. And then I just kind of like repeat that over and over to myself. And so until I start to believe it. And then the more I believe it, the more that I'm able to, you know, do that. So I'll give you a good example. It's kind of a personal example, but it might help it make a little more sense. So I'm a runner, and I used to not believe that I was a runner. I mean, I grew up, I was active, I did track, I did like little mini triathlons with my friends in college, but I just never felt like I was a runner. And so I wanted to be faster because I was kind of slow. And, threw out a post in a runners group I was in and said, hey, I'm not really a runner, but I want to be faster, and this is what I've done so far. And someone got on there and said, like, no, you are a runner. And like, you've done all this, just because you're slower doesn't mean that you aren't. And I was like, I'm gonna own that. So I started saying that I'm a runner. And because I told myself that over and over, I felt like I believed that I could run a marathon. So I signed up for a marathon. And because I was running this marathon, I started doing speed training once a week. And I got faster. And so, it's kind of like goes back to that loop again of mindset to dreams and then habits. Well, then I was like, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to be a Boston qualified marathon runner. And if you know how fast you have to run to be a Boston qualified marathon runner, it's like 3.5 hours is what I would have to do for my age group. And my
Wow.
first marathon was like a 5:13. So so it's kind of crazy and outlandish. But because I kept telling myself that I, was a Boston qualified marathon runner, saying it in the present tense, even though it hasn't happened yet, I started thinking like that type of runner. I didn't miss my trainings unless, I was hurt or injured. I pushed through my interval trainings a lot faster and harder than I normally would have if I hadn't told myself that. I rested when I needed to. I fueled my body well. So it all started with that mindset of saying, this is what the truth is. This is what I, could be, or what I am. And then lining up my habits with that. So kind of going back to creating that mindset of writing that down. And if you need to say it over yourself every day, if you want to write it down every day, that can really help you start believing what you really want to believe about yourself or about the things around you as well.
I totally
So
agree
that
with
would
that
be,
too. Sorry to cut you off, Micah. I think that's
no, you're fine.
really important. Building that kind of mindset around like, okay, this is who I want to be, and I'm going to
Mhm.
reinforce it in the present tense. I mean,
Mhm.
even like with my own personal example of being a speaker, when I first started, I was petrified to even get up in front of anyone. I mean, my hands would shake, my mouth would get dry. And then
Mhm.
time after time, I would just say, okay, I'm an excellent speaker. I'm going to impact somebody's life today. And it's the
Mhm.
constant repetition of doing those things over and over and over again, and just making yourself believe it, that what you're
Mhm.
saying is true. And with your example, with the running, I mean, I'm a runner too. And
Mhm.
I mean, at first I was really, really slow. And then I would set myself up to say, okay, no, I'm going to hit this milestone, this time frame in this amount
Mhm.
of, in these amount of months. In 6 months, I'm going to be able to run 5 kilometers in under 20 minutes. And you would
Mhm.
set that goal. And then eventually you would say, okay, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And eventually you just kind of, it's like you attract all those circumstances into your life to make it happen for you.
Mhm.
So I think that's really
Yeah.
important for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. You can really just like claim it. Like this is, what I want and this is, who I am, and you have to be able to claim that. Otherwise those little lies of, oh, I'm not good enough or I can't do this, like those will sneak in. Um and our brains like really do create, like there's pathways in our brains, and our brains, create pathways. So if we are used to going down this road of like, I can't, or, I won't, or whatever, then we're not, and so if we can change that conversation in our head, our thoughts produce actions, and so we're going to act based on what our thoughts are. So that's really that starting point.
Hmm.
um so yeah, think about, um your habits and your goals and your dreams in that new mindset. So as you're going through this, like thinking about what you are, developing goals related to like your new identity, so to speak, with that positive mindset. Like if okay, I can do this, then, what are your goals going to be in relation to that? So, writing down that positive, and then write down a couple goals that you want to start with. And maybe it's something like, I fuel my body well, and that's starting with eating a good breakfast, or, drinking water. Like you don't have to go all crazy and all out right away, but, just start small with maybe one little thing that you want to incorporate into your day, based on your new mindset and your new goal would be helpful too.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's something I do as well.
Mhm.
I start small, and I always tell
Mhm.
everyone that I work with too, start with small things and build those routines up over time. So the more
Mhm.
you do those little things, the more you build those successes onto yourself. You say, okay, every day for the next month, I'm going to start my day by drinking a glass of water.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you start to stack your successes. And as you
Mhm.
stack your successes, you build your self confidence, and your mind says, okay, I'm someone who will achieve my goals. I'm someone who's
Mhm.
going to achieve what I'm going after. That's my identity now. So
Mhm.
as they start to go through, and these points are so important for anyone who's listening, that you have to start small and build those little successes and build that identity for yourself.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I have coached, a lot of people, and like on just like wellness habits and goals and things like that. And that always is kind of like one of the things that they always say is, oh, like I just was taking on too much at once. And so I failed
Mhm.
every time because I tried to, I didn't quite have the confidence or the know-how to really incorporate all of these things. But then when they broke it down to the one small thing, they didn't feel like they were doing enough. Like they felt like they had to, be more, or, do all the things that you do, or that some, this other, wellness expert does. And it's like, no, you need to start like where you're at. Like we're all
Mhm.
on the same journey. We're all just in different places. And it's okay if you're starting, you know, at letter A or letter B, and you're not at Z yet. And just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of, who you're becoming and the changes that you're making, the successes that you have. And then just celebrate the small wins along the way too. It's going to help
Mhm.
with that boost of confidence and self-esteem and everything as well. So,
I totally agree. And now there might be some people who may be starting from scratch with habit building and getting their mind frame around more positivity. What kind of
mhm.
advice would you give to those people who are saying, well, typically I'm stuck in a negative kind of vibration, I'm stuck in a negative outlook. How can I start today to really start retraining my mind for success?
So I have two things for that, if that's okay. So
Yeah, yeah, of
the
course.
the first thing I would say is just like that first activity that I recommended of like writing down, what you are thinking that's negative, and then and then writing down the opposite of that. But just start, saying those affirmations. And when you wake up in the morning, have maybe a list of affirmations that you can, speak over yourself each day, even if you don't believe them right away, because over time you will.
Hmm.
But the other thing I would say is just to be yourself and be authentic. One of my favorite authors is Gretchen Rubin. She wrote The Happiness Project, and one of her little quotes in there is to be Gretchen. And so that's what I use too, and what I've had my clients use is like be Micaeh, be Jacob, be yourself. Like you don't have to live up to the expectations of other people or what someone else is doing. You can kind of find your own way in like wellness doesn't look the same for everyone, like if you're a runner, I'm a runner, that doesn't mean you have to go out and be a runner. I mean, you can do like a dance class, or you can, play outside with the kids in the yard and play soccer, like whatever that looks like for you. Just be yourself and be authentic, and it doesn't mean you have to be like this whole different person. Choose goals that are aligned with you and what your values are. So
Totally
that's what
makes
I would say.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what advice would you give to someone who may be living in a negative environment? For example, they have people around them who are constantly negative, constantly watching the news and saying, oh my God, because of this is happening, the world's going to end. And like, this is, they just constantly are finding the bad in every situation. What
Mhm.
advice would you give to people who are surrounded by people who are really negative and trying to improve their mindset?
I would say, I mean, I feel like that's a hard place to be in, and so I want to empathize with that. Like it's tough when you have all of that surrounding you and around you. But I mean, there's two things I would say to that as well. Is one, you don't have to be rude to them, but you can also choose not to listen. You can choose to not take that to heart and not to feed into it. So if they're talking about it as far as, oh, this happened, instead of being like, well, what about this? Or, instead of like entering the dialogue, you can choose to kind of not involve yourself in that, which is a little harder to do if it's someone you really care about, if it's like a spouse
Mhm.
or a child. But you can also come back with that positive mindset. And if you are kind of setting an example or being that role model of having that positive side of things, then they may see that as well. And they may not. I mean, they may even not like you for it and give you a hard time for it. But I would just say, like, if you know that it's good for you, just be strong in your decision to not engage in that and to continue to look on the side. The other thing I would say is find someone that you or other people that you can surround yourself with who are taking that more positive approach, and that, whether that's like an online group, or, if you know of a friend, like maybe you see on Facebook and should post something positive, like reach out to them and say, hey, I see you have this attitude as well. So just surrounding yourself with some more
Mhm.
people that are going to help support you in that and kind of feed you some good things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that's excellent advice. It's something I did myself, even like with Facebook, because I noticed on like on my friend list, there was some people that were constantly posting negative
Hmm.
things. So I actually went on and just kind of like, I'm still friends with them, but I just kind of
Hmm.
blocked their posts so I don't see all the
Yeah.
negativity. So that way when I am on Facebook, I just see positive posts from people. And I think that's
Yeah.
really important. If you're around someone who is maybe negative, just try and like you said, be empathetic with them, but don't engage with their negativity, and
Hmm.
just try and change the conversation if you can to something more positive. I think that's really important. As we kind of end the conversation here, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone right now, if they just had 5 minutes with you and they said, "What's one solid piece of advice that you could give me?"
I would say just have faith. Have faith that that there's hope for the future. Like this is not the end. More things will come, but to just know in your heart that that there's faith that you're going to get through and you're going to survive this, and you're strong enough to do that. And that would be my parting thing, is just to say, yeah, just have faith and trust that things will work out. And it may not be the way you want it to work out. We don't know we don't know what tomorrow holds. And so why waste time worrying about it? You know, when we don't know, we don't know what that's going to look like. And so, you know, they say like, oh gosh, now I don't know why I start saying it because now I can't remember the right quote, but you know, something about like, you know, if you worry so much and waste so many days, I don't remember the quote now, but
Yeah.
basically like don't worry about it. Like there's only so much you can do right here, right now. You can't control the future, so don't try to, because you're just going to waste all your energy doing that. And when you can really be enjoying, you know, what you have today and the things that you are blessed with, even when it seems like there aren't really a whole lot of things to be grateful for. There are little things, you know, we have food, we have water, we have
Mhm.
air to breathe, you know, and so just to be able to focus on that and have faith that you're going to get through it. So,
Amazing. Where can people find you?
so I am probably most active on Instagram. So it's just instagram.com/Micaeh, Micaeh. And then I'm on Facebook as well, but probably the easiest place to find me would be Instagram too. So we have a website. It's just under construction right now. It doesn't look great, but it is eaglefireenrichment.com. And hopefully over the couple of weeks, it'll look a little bit better, but just don't be shocked if you're like, this doesn't make sense to me. So just being honest there. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Micaeh. I think there was a lot of very valuable information there about how people can really start to build that foundational mindset for themselves, especially during a time like this. So I really appreciate you coming on here, taking the time out of your day to help these people, empower these people, and give them the foundation for building their mindset. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it and hope someone got something out of it too. So
I'm sure they would have. Thank you so much.